Welcome, everyone, to the Planners Who Profit podcast. I'm excited to be back here to deliver inspirational stories and tips for the event planning community. Now, one of my core beliefs as a coach to event planners is that if your business is bringing in part-time money, you should be able to run it part-time, right? And to make that more concise, I believe that if you have 10 or fewer clients every year, you should be able to run your business in 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. Plus, of course, time spent at events on weekends, right? And I also think it's very possible to build a six-figure business part-time. That way, when you decide to go full time, you're going full time into a six-figure business. You're going full time into a business that's paying you a livable rate, right? And I believe this because I've done it and I've seen many other event planners do it as well, which brings me to my guest for today. All right. Now, Wannida Kasiwong is a wedding planner who is based in Germany, but with a specialty in destination weddings in Thailand. And within 4 months of using some new marketing methods and new sales methods, she was able to take her existing business full time and to build a six-figure event planning business. All right. So I'm excited about this. Like every time I speak to Wannida, it's always a joy. And she has so many nuggets to share. So right after this brief break, you're going to hear from myself and Wannida, and we're going to discuss her journey towards building this amazing destination wedding planning business. If you're an event planner who does amazing work, I'm talking your family, your friends, and your clients tell you that you do an amazing job, and you bring everything across the finish line and plan the most beautiful events. But now you're ready to actually make real money in your business and pay yourself monthly? It's time for you to apply to join the Planners Who Profit Accelerator Program. This 6-month accelerator program gives you the tools that you need to hit your first $70,000 to $100,000 a year, even if you are still working a full-time job. Our goal is to help you to build a profitable business so that you can leave your day job on your terms. To learn more about working with us in the Planners Who Profit Accelerator, make sure you visit plannerswhoprofit.com and apply. By the way, if you've already exceeded 100,000 in sales, please go ahead and apply, and we'll let you know all the information about joining the Planners Who Profit Mastermind, designed to take you to even higher heights. We look forward to seeing you on the inside because life is so much better in the PWP squad. All right, welcome back, Wannida.
Hi.
Welcome. It's always great to get a chance to chat with you. And everyone, I'm so excited to introduce you a little bit more to Wannida. So first off, I guess, Wannida, do me a favor. Introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what your business is, and a few personal things. Like, let's get to know you before we get to the interview.
Yeah, so my name is Wannida. I'm originally from Thailand, but living in Germany now because I'm married to a German husband. So I started my business, Wonders and Weddings, which is a destination and multicultural wedding planning company since 2019. It started off when I first planned my wedding, and I just love the process. I love the journey. I love the personalization that I was able to do for our wedding. I want to spread joy forward. So I specialize in destination and multicultural weddings in Thailand, and also expanding in Europe right now.
Awesome. That's amazing. So you said you started in 2019. So that would mean you've been in business now for 4 years.
Yes.
And what makes your business different is your specialty in multicultural weddings. Could you tell me a little bit about what that means?
Yes. So I think the key difference of my business is I am very open and I plan non-traditional weddings. So the couples can come to me with their ideas of what they like, what they want to keep, what they want to blend, and I will help them navigate, what's possible, how to combine the different cultures together in the way that makes sense for them, and also it's a joyful journey and experience for their guests. Nothing confusing, just pure joy of combining different cultures together. And I also work with a lot of modern couples, so there may be some of the traditional aspects that doesn't resonate with them. I help them navigate how we can modify or simplify certain details that make it more personal to them.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And so what would you say then is your favorite thing about being a wedding planner or about planning weddings?
I think also the first part is to get to know the couples. Every story is different, and it's such a privilege to get to know them so deep and so personal in such a short period of time. at the same time, it's really essential for us to work together and for me to help them execute the weddings that feel and look like them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the first part I really enjoy. The other part would be to put things in place, organize things, put them in structure, in templates, in run sheets, in ways that everything come together. I enjoy a lot when I can see my couples being able to enjoy themselves on the day. They don't have to worry about small things or big things behind. Let that be my job and my team. They get to share everything that they want to share with their guests. Just enjoy themselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I mean, one of the coolest things I think about just chatting with you, getting a chance to work with you over time has been that you do pretty much the same thing that we do
Yeah.
in Thailand. The specialty on multicultural weddings, the specialty on, really making the event there is like for us, one thing we always say is our events don't look the same. Like every
Yeah.
wedding looks different, every event looks different because we want to make it yours. So I love that. And it's also cool because I've always said, oh, the world's getting smaller. The United States is a melting pot, but really everywhere is a melting pot now, right? And I
Yeah.
love seeing what you do in Thailand as well. So I guess my next question was going to be why Thailand? So why do you focus in on Thailand? I think you might have answered it already, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Yeah, no, first of all, of course, it's my home country. So, I know what's available and what's possible. I know we have so many great locations for weddings. We have everything from the beach, from the city to the mountain. It's just a lot of things that you can explore. And it's just not, when it comes to destination weddings, people are no longer focusing just only the weddings themselves, but the overall travel experience. This is like a chance for them to just enjoy the whole trip, the whole week together with their guests. And Thailand has so much to offer. So for me, working in Thailand really help bringing, the authenticity or the local things to the eyes of the visitors, and also to help connect with the local vendors that may not be able to be found otherwise. A lot of vendors still speak only Thai, although their works are really great, and I'm just really glad to be able to, connect them with the clients that really love their work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love that. And I love that you're like that in between, that mediator. And you can, help people have an amazing experience,
Yeah.
even if there's a bit of a language barrier. So that's super valuable. And that speaks a lot there. So tell us, what is it like living in Germany and planning weddings in Thailand? I'm sure many people are like, wait, how do you, I feel like this is one of those things, right? A lot of people want to get into the destination market. They want to plan destination weddings, but then it's like, wait, how do I plan a wedding in a place I don't live? Or how do I plan a wedding, getting to know new vendors or getting to know new venues when I don't actually live there, right? So we have our own methods that we teach, but I mean, you don't have to give like the whole thing. We don't want this podcast to be too long,
Yeah.
but like, how does it feel? What does your travel schedule maybe look like? Planning a wedding, planning weddings in a different place than where you live right now.
Yeah. So of course I plan my annual schedule around the wedding season. In Thailand, people likely to get married towards the end of the year or the beginning of the year, which is like when the weather is nicest. So during the time when I'm there, I try to maximize my stay by schedule the local venue scout, or meet in person with vendors where necessary, and then of course manage the wedding day by myself. And when I'm back in Germany, that's when I plan my schedule to focus on planning, which is able to do online, like pretty much everything. So yeah, that's like the beginning of the process to plan the schedule around when I'm there and when I'm not. Also, I think it's important that I communicate this with my clients upfront. Because of the destination weddings, actually, it's a good thing for your clients to know that you do your work online, because they are also living further away, like they don't live in the destinations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's comforting them to know that there are ways to work together online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge. That's huge. I mean, I would say for us, even before the pandemic, we were already doing events in other states or, in other places. And I'm from New Jersey. It's not as
Yeah.
far, between Jersey to Maryland isn't as far as like Thailand and Germany, but we never stopped doing events in the New York area. Like we just did one less than 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Even though I've lived in Maryland for over 10 years. So for us, we had to use technology. Like we've never
Yes.
been like, oh, I just rely on, going to meet people in person for everything. We've always used video chat. We've always used things. And even before the pandemic hit, we started seeing more and more of our clients wanting to meet us on video chat and stuff like that. And it just being convenient for them.
Yeah.
And it was convenient for me as well. And then of course, after the pandemic, that became the norm. But I know a lot of people struggled in that first year of the pandemic because it's like, how do I do business? Not understanding how much can be done online. So yeah, I think you're right. That is super comforting. Um, you're not taking anything away from people by doing a lot online. If anything, you're making life more convenient, especially for the busiest of clients. Everyone wants those clients who have lots of money to spend and all of that. But those people are busy. They're
Yeah.
living life. They're traveling, right? And so doing things online makes it more convenient. So I love that. Okay, so one last question before we take a brief break. Like, your business grew a lot, especially last year, especially in
Yeah,
2020.
it's in such a short time.
In a very short time. I mean, 2022, at the very start of 2022, you decided you were going to change some things about your business. My question is, why did you feel like that was the time, right? Because like at the beginning of last year, you were probably like just entering your third year in business,
Yeah.
right? So what about that made you say, you know what, I'm ready for more? Like I like what triggered you, right? Because there's always something that triggers you to take action. So what triggered you to say, I want more for my business. I'm ready to grow and I believe I can do it. Right. So what, like, if you could just take me through that thought process, that would help.
Yeah, I think so. The first thought process came from the two weddings that I planned earlier this year. They are both very high end, high spending, a lot of luxurious experience built into it, and also multi days. One of it was a whole week. The couple booked me for different events surrounding, and then their wedding day. This was such a huge challenge that I had so much fun in. And I also really enjoy working with a lot of vendors that, are really great in what they do. And after those two weddings, I feel ready and supported. I feel like, hey, I can do more of this. I want to be able to provide better service. I want to be able to provide a more detail-oriented planning process, which I also enjoy myself. And my couples are super happy. Both of them wrote like really long testimonial. One of them actually had to move the country of a wedding. Like it was like emergency thing going on, and they had to change the country in such a short time. They wrote a long testimony on how I helped make the difference, and and I feel really appreciated, and I feel like I can help more couples achieve that. So then I was going back and forth a little bit on, okay, what are the packages that I can offer? Before then, I didn't have the wedding week experience, but now I do. So that was a part of the growth. And then I started to get more inquiries of couples that, see my work, and they talk to me and they feel like, okay, I can help them with not just the wedding, but the whole experience itself. They come with a higher budget. They come with a more detailed thought process that they want in the wedding vision that they have. And I feel like, okay, there are inquiries coming in. That's the work that I've done already together. I feel ready. But also at the time, I was a bit hesitant. So that's where planners who profit came in. I was asking you a lot about, how do I do this? How do I change that? I'm thinking of doing this. Is it worth it? And we have conversations and questions surrounding this topic for so many months. But all the information so far has been helping me preparing myself for this direction. Yeah, so I think together with the work I've done, the appreciation from clients, and the support I have from your program, that's the factors that build
Yeah.
into the readiness.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. That's really good. That's all good stuff. So we're going to get a little bit more into the specifics of each of those after a really brief break. So y'all stay tuned. As usual, Juanita has a lot of really good stuff to share. So we're looking forward to getting back and getting more into the meat of how she was able to make these changes. Okay, welcome back. We're really excited to have you back, Juanita. Right before the break, we were talking about, your growth process and you getting hired and leads and all of that. And I think that's amazing. I always feel like there's always a specific point when you say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm ready to try. I'm ready to go full force and I'm ready to do different things, right? To get different results in my business. Some people wait years and years and years, right? And they're stuck in the same place for years and years and years. And you did it, I would say, a little bit earlier, right? Like I said, you were just coming into your third year in business, and you're like, I'm ready to make a change. So I'm curious, what made you do that? Like, what was going through your head when you're like, I need to make a change and I need to do it right now?
Yeah, so considering my niche, also in Thailand, I'm probably one of a few people that do multicultural weddings specifically, and it's hard for me to understand what was going on and takes a lot of time to learn everything on hand. So I'm always looking for educations. And the thing about wedding industry is you need everything specific for the industry. You need a wedding business marketing course, wedding business SEO, and things like that. So I started from there. Actually, I seek for education, but then later on, what I realized as well is that a lot of different courses from here and there, they're not designed to work together. So when I found Planners Who Profit, and there was a part in your copy that says specifically that this is for you if you are exhausted of the different bundle courses that are not together or, like taught for your specific business. And I'm like, okay, this is it, like this is the step I need to take. This is the education I need, and I don't need to look elsewhere. I'm gonna learn everything from my marketing process, my sales process, how I plan my system, how I execute, how I deliver. And that was the starting point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that. And I love that you recognize that it wasn't about working harder, doing the same things that haven't been working in the
Yeah.
past, but really like trying something different. And really making that jump because it was very obvious. Like you came in guns blazing, pedal to the metal, ready to do the work and ready to try totally different things, which I appreciate, especially considering that your background is in marketing, like that you actually have marketing education, you've had marketing jobs and all of that, but even with that you're open to learning what's going to work specifically for our industry,
Yeah.
right? Because of course your marketing job was not in the wedding industry.
Yes.
But yeah,
That
so
too.
uh, but that you were open to really applying it, and that you saw a change. It wasn't like, oh, she's going to teach me what I already know, but you were able to apply and see results. So I think that's amazing. Just that you were decisive and ready to implement, right? Because it's not only about paying the money, it's also about actually implementing and being ready for it. And so my question is like, how are you how are you able to reach a multicultural audience in Thailand? Like, what does that even mean? And how are you able to do that?
I think it started from like myself as well. So I'm Thai, but my husband is German. So since when we planned for our wedding, is actually multicultural. So it was already there. It just like I think the terms of it wasn't such a huge term that people use. There's a cultural blending, or we call it something else. But with the the issues that I have experienced myself and was able to execute in my own wedding, I feel like I can also offer the same thing to other couples. So that's also a factor that I want to focus on my multicultural wedding, and then also my personal interest. I've always, been as inspired by the different cultures, the richness, the wisdom, the way of life that are passed on through generations, and it's different everywhere in the world. I also have background. I was working with the airline that I was able to travel to see different places, and it never leaves me, how big the world is, but at the same time it's also so small. We are connected, and I want to build that in my business.
Yeah. So you said in the past you were a flight attendant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. So combining your love for travel and past experience in travel and everything, and then of course your own business. I guess what you're saying is telling your story, right? Telling your own story about your wedding and your marriage, and then sharing your passion, right, for helping
Yeah.
other people do the same. That's great. And even with this, would you say all of your couples are multicultural?
No, not really. Some of them are like from the same culture, from the same background, and that's where I help them modify or simplify the cultural element that they want to build
That they
into that.
wanted to. Right. So I wanted to clarify. I know that a lot of times when people hear, oh, I specialize in multicultural, it means all your clients are multicultural. That's not the case. It's not even the case
Yeah.
for us or anyone I know who really like specializes in and is thriving in that space. So it's not like you're pigeonholing yourself, like the
Yeah.
only clients that you work with, who are planning a destination wedding in Thailand, but you do have a specialty and that attracts the right people to you. So that's excellent. So where do most of your leads come from? And so for the sake of those listening, a lead is somebody who inquires about your business. So a lead is not somebody liking your picture, okay? A lead on Instagram. A lead is when somebody fills out your contact form or sends you an email and says, "I want to learn more about working with you." Right? I'd like to consider hiring you for my event. So where would you say you get the most of your leads? I'm sure
Of course,
everybody
my website.
from your website. What does that mean? Like Google?
Yes, Google search. I also ask my leads when we have a consultation how they find me, what were the keywords that they're using. So most of them use destination wedding planning Thailand, destination weddings Thailand. Sometimes they use a location specific, so like Phuket weddings or Chiang Mai weddings, that are those top two destinations.
Mm-hmm.
They also search something as simple as Thailand wedding planner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that's really good.
yeah,
That's really
other
good.
than that, there are also some leads from Instagram. A lot of them like, the types of weddings that I share, and they see the varieties. And then of course they also go to the website and then
Mhm.
fill the inquiry form. So the journey is kind of similar, but it depends on, like what they see first.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think that, free tip for everybody, it should be very easy for people to, contact you from Instagram. People should not have to DM you and talk to you for a million hours before figuring out how to
Yeah.
contact you. It should be nice and breezy and simple. And I love that. And I love that SEO is where you're getting the majority, search engine optimization is where you're getting the majority of your business. One of the principles, we have many principles with planners who profit, but from a marketing standpoint, we believe that you should have a self-marketing website. Your website just existing should be marketing for you, and most people's are not. That includes a lot of people who have hired website designers, right? Because you're hiring a website designer who doesn't understand how to optimize for our industry and in a way that's actually going to get you found. And so I love that, where you're thriving. And social media, it definitely matters. I think I've said this in past podcasts, but you need a marketing cocktail. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be a one trick pony. You need a marketing cocktail, and that cocktail, every element of it should be working for you. So that's pretty much what we like to do. But I always love to ask, like, where are you getting these higher end leads? Okay, so fun question. Where do most of your clients live?
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
so where
Actually, they're from the States.
they're from America.
Yeah, they're from the States. So many of them are from New York and California. Then there are other states in the mix. I think the second destination will be Australia.
Mhm.
Because Thailand is also a popular destination weddings. A wedding destination for them as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you think, like, I know that when we first started working together, we talked about a lot of things, and we talked about not just focusing on local business, which we'll get into in a second, but really like opening your mind to the idea that of everybody who's planning weddings in Thailand. At that point, were you like, oh, I'm trying to get people from America? Or were you just like, let me know, like, or was it just more something that just happened, right?
Yeah, I think actually I was focusing first on the local market, so like the expats community, and then the local Thai clients. But then one day I just got an inquiry, from my client who are based in California and saying, can you take our weddings? Like we live in the States, but we want to get married in Thailand, and I know that I can help them. So that's where it started actually from the States. But I think with the marketing as well, I think Google of course play a huge part.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of search from my console, so Google console, where I track, where my inquiries or like visits come from. The States is the second most visit besides Thailand, which is the first.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing. I think that a lot of times we all have to expand our minds. It's interesting that the two places that you're getting the most leads from, New York, California, those are also the two states where the cost of living is the highest, right?
Yeah,
Which means that those are the two states where, people who are at the top of that market,
yeah,
they have the cash to spend, right?
yeah,
And so, this is a principle that could be applied all over. I mean, we have clients who have, that we've worked with, who live in the US and are like, well, I live in a place where the average cost of living is lower. I know that's a conversation we had, right? Where you're like, in Thailand, people don't spend this kind of money on weddings, and talk us on just me as a wedding planner. But I said, no, you have to attract don't worry about that. Worry about attracting those people at the top of the market because they exist, right? And it's been the same story with some of our clients. We've had clients in the Midwest and just in other areas where the cost of living is lower. And it may be true that most of the people, it's never all, but it may be true that most of the people don't spend that much, but there are people from there who moved to New York City and got this big major job, and they're making $250,000 a year, and they want to go home and have a fabulous event at home. Those are the people
yeah,
that you're drawing in. And so it's like, regardless of where you live, this is a principle, right? And I love that. I mean, Thailand's a whole nother country, whole different currency, the whole different cost of live. Everything is so different, right? But even then, you're able to build a thriving six-figure business, six-figure in dollars, right? Business, there. And I think that that's amazing, especially considering that you don't live in Thailand. So you need to make more money to pay for everything you're doing,
yes,
for
and
your actual
tax and
style
all. Yeah,
your actual lifestyle in Germany, right? Which is not the same as the cost of a lifestyle in Thailand. I think it's amazing, and I think it's just a full circle moment for everybody to really expand your mind about what's possible, so that you go after it. A lot of times we don't go after more because we don't believe it's possible. We're just like,
yeah,
oh, I'm just stuck. People just don't spend money, so I'm just going to stay here. So when you realize more is possible, it's like, wait, hold on, let me take action so I can go and get more, right? So I love that. And so, on that note, tell us honestly, how did your first big price increase feel? Let's start with how it felt.
it feel really scary at first. Like I didn't know, like which number to put, and I asked you then, like how do I evaluate, or how do I determine what would be the new price? But one of the really good advice was the price that I feel um pay for my value and that I'm comfortable with. So that was the sweet spot. And it was actually about 25% increase from the old point.
Hmm.
And but like after that, I get qualified leads. that are
Mhm.
happy with this rate,
Yeah.
and with the level of service that I can offer with the budget that they have, I can do so much more.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always scary, right? Like it's always scary to evolve. It's
Yeah,
always scary to grow, and it's always scary to leave behind what you know.
yeah,
Right? It's like I know how to plan. For many people who are event planners, you feel like I know how to manage a budget. I know how to do all this stuff for cheap, right? And after a while, that like becomes your identity, and it's like, and it becomes scary to try to
yeah,
step outside of that. But if you but the fact that you stepped outside of it, you realize like not only can I can actually produce the things I've always dreamed of, right? Because the clients have the budget, and then I can do more for them. Like I
yeah,
have more resources, more time to do more for them, and overall, they're even happier with what I'm providing now than what it was before, right? They appreciated all of that, and I think that's great, And so I love that you already quantified it was a 25% increase. And I love that you see that you're getting a different type of client, right? Who really
yeah,
appreciates it and who is able to spend money on other things. And it's not only about money, it's also just, the truth. I always say that it's actually harder to plan like a wedding for $25,000 than it is to plan a wedding for $100,000. I don't really care what anybody says. It is
yeah,
because when you're planning that $25,000 wedding, every conversation is about money. And
yeah,
every conversation, everything is always about you need to find somebody else who can do it cheaper. You need to, and you're doing double work to find people who
yeah,
are at the bottom of the market, but who are going to actually show up and do what you're paying them to do, and you're
yeah,
hoping and praying, and you're anxious about it if they're even going to do the work, right? Because you're paying them so cheap, then it is to plan a wedding for 100K. There probably are more moving parts for that 100K wedding, but you're stressed about different things. Either
yeah,
way, you're stressed, and either way, there's work. It's just a different type of stress, right?
yeah,
And in the end, the reward is bigger. So I think that, and the reason I always talk about that is a whole nother topic, but it doesn't make sense to. A lot of times people are like, oh, should I switch to percentage base? And I'm like, it doesn't make sense unless you're already attracting people at a higher caliber, right? Because taking a percentage of that $25,000 wedding, you're going to make less
yeah,
and be working harder. So
yeah,
that's the context that I usually share that in. But I love the way you put it. I think that's a different spin on it that, it was scary, but once you did it and you got those clients, you saw the quality and the caliber of moving up and everything. So I think that's really great. What did that do for your perspective of the cost of weddings in Thailand and what's possible for your business? I know when we first met, we had that conversation that I just talked about of, oh, people in my market don't spend that kind of money on weddings. I need to figure out how I'm going to make more money, but I can't, people in my market just don't spend that. Like, I don't want to
yeah.
outprice the market. So what now? Well, how has your perspective on the Thailand market changed after seeing people actually pay your rate? And since that first price increase, you've raised
Yeah.
it again, right?
Yeah.
So how is your perspective about the market, right? And what's possible for your business? How has that changed?
I think people pay for different things. Like people invest in entirely different things from, my old price and my new price. With my new price, I feel trusted in my process, either planning or a creative process. They are listening to, the guidance that I have, the vendors that I recommend, or the venues that I curated for them. And I feel this helped a lot for me to navigate and work with like-minded people who are also really great in what they do. They have experience, they have their own system in place. These are all the things that come with the price. So what we are worried about
Mhm.
is on personalizing the event that is like true to the client and not just keep cutting costs. And also, the thing that I feel comfortable now is to connect with even more local businesses because they are ready to invest in, they like supporting local business, they like support local talents, they want to make things special for their guests. So there are more rooms for me to create that in their overall wedding experience. And
Yeah.
yeah, that chips a lot.
I love that. I love that. That's like so much there, like that I really, really love. All right. So we're gonna take a brief break, but before that, how we talked a little bit about the fact that we've been working together for some time now and everything. So what would you say if you were to give like a summary of like how working together, how being in the Planners Who Profit Accelerator has helped your business? What would you say?
I can kind of like separate briefly into like 3 periods. So when I first joined, I was still part-time, growing to full-time. I think the part that helped me a lot was the marketing, the SEO tips, specific for wedding planners, that helped me get better leads, and of course the pricing that we just talked about. And then since I became full-time, um, the program helped me a lot in refining my system, improve the service, and kind of like plug the hole, making everything better and better. Also helped me with the press. So I was featured on a local media outlet as well. And even that part, the program, and you give advice on how I prepare and what I can share that help connects me with the audience. And I get actually a lot of qualified leads from that interview itself. And now I'm on another step to wanting to grow. The program has helped me to reevaluate the different aspects and also to determine the next best steps.
For you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, this isn't a course. I always tell people our program is not a course. It is very much so guided,
Yeah.
it's very much so personalized to you. Like we know who you are, exactly where you are, and we'll give you tips exactly for you to get you to your next step. So I love that because we've been working together for some time now, and I love it. I want, and I think this is a great example for everyone. We do have people who extend their time in our program, and it's not because they didn't get results.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I didn't get it right in the first 6 months, so let me extend so I can get it right. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
And this is actually a perfect example of that. And so Juanita shared like a few different stages, right, of growth that we've done, that we've worked on together. And I love that. So on that note, we're going to take a brief break, and then we'll be right back just to round it out with some final words of wisdom for
Yeah.
this interview. If you've been enjoying this podcast, it is time for you to join the PWP squad. And you can do that today 100% free. Visit PWP Workshop, and that'll give you everything that you need to sign up for our vault of free trainings on marketing, sales, and systems designed to get you started on your journey to your first 100K in business. All right. So welcome back, guys. Welcome. We're excited to round out this interview with Wannida. Obviously, we've learned so much so far, and we have more that we just want to round out. So what's next on the horizon for you, right? Like, so what are some things that you're considering? Even if you haven't decided, what are some things that are, what would you say is potentially the next big step for you in your business?
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of it right now. There are the big 2 things that I'm working on. The first thing is to expand my team. This is the conversation that we just recently had as well, right? I'm going from a solopreneur to being a small team with associated planner. And of course, there were scary things like, shifting from being a brand myself to a business that has a great wedding planners, but that was something that you help address as well. And I'm excited for it. I have good candidates. I'm preparing a lot of workflow and the system that can help share in the team and also to work with clients. The second thing is to expand my service in Europe. One of the things that really inspired and I feel like motivated to do is to bring in the modern Asian weddings into European space. You've seen a lot of weddings in so many beautiful places, like Italy villa or a French chateau, things like that. And there are a lot of international couples looking to have destination weddings in Europe. And since I'm based in Germany, which is already in Europe as well, I think why not? So that's the 2 big things.
Awesome. I love that. Like that's major, and it's a major big step, right? Like every
Yeah,
time you step up, there's another level to go to,
yeah,
and so having a team, and then also having more locations, right? So
yeah,
Thailand, amazing, and then now expanding into Europe is phenomenal.
yeah,
All right. So what advice do you have? Like I'm sure there are people who are listening to this, and they're considering getting into a destination market,
yeah.
right? So um what advice would you have for someone in that category, especially now that you've conquered a few destinations within
Yeah.
Thailand, and now you're looking to add a whole other continent? Like, what's your advice for someone who's just thinking about it?
I think to first determine what do you enjoy or what inspire you about the destination wedding market, and keep those points in mind when connecting with your clients. For me, I travel a lot myself. I love the different cultures, and I always mention that when connecting with the clients during a consultation. And I feel like this is where we can build trust and understanding, and just stay in line with each other. And I think also to consider your niche as well. Even though like destination wedding seems like a niche itself,
Mhm.
there's always a specific thing about it. There's a stylish destination wedding planner that only do certain modern style. There's a local based, destination wedding planner that all do only like certain areas or certain cities, and they just focus extensively on that.
Mhm.
Or there are also like let's say only villa weddings, right? That's the destination wedding but within a niche in itself. And I think that can help position you in the eyes of the clients who are looking for your service specifically. It's always good to have a specific niche.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. People, one thing I always say is that this is true of any industry, but the you always get paid according to the complexity of the problems you solve,
Yeah,
right? So at the end of the day, generally specialists get paid more than generalists, right? Doctors, even hairstylists, you pay more for specialized service than for general. So it's always great to continue to refine your niche, and your niche doesn't always have to be about culture. It can be about what you do best, right?
yeah.
There's so many ways to niche down. We have clients of all kinds, right, that we've helped to niche down, but that is just something to always keep in mind. So, all right. I've been loving this interview. Thank you so much for coming. I just want to ask, do you have any final parting words for those who are listening? Any final things you want to share, either about your journey, words of advice, anything you want to say about the program, like just any final parting words that you have for our audience?
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do for your business, and I've always believed this, is education. And what is better than, a tailor-made advice and constant education that is specific to your business, to your niche, to your ways of approach. One things I really like from the planners who profit is the Q&A and the critiques. These are very tailor-made. I always ask, some questions specific to my situations. I always send my brochures, my blog posts, my SEO plan that are specific to my business, my niche, and my locations. And like, thanks to Coach Faye, because you're a very open-minded person, you're always asking for context, and I feel really comfortable and supported to share that. And with that, combined, I think this is like an important key that built into the growth of my business that would otherwise not happen.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I love, your focus on education. Education is everything. And there are different forms of education,
Yeah,
right? There are, in the events industry, I feel that we focus so much on like certifications or how to get vendors or how to build a timeline. And then we want to go out and start a business, and we have no knowledge of how to actually get clients. For me, I started, with a certification. I was also super young. I was like 23 and I looked 16. I was like, I need a certification. No one's going to take me seriously without one. But after that, my next focus became on how do I grow my business?
yeah,
Right. because it doesn't matter how many certifications you have, and it doesn't matter listing them all. Your clients have no idea what you're talking about
Yeah.
because they're not in our industry. We have to use terms that actually relate with them. This is why, there's so many, I always say there's so many people who, they're like, oh, I have all these certifications and I'm struggling. And then the girl down the street who either you can't tell if she has a certification or may not, and all that, they're zooming past you. And it's because they invested in their business, not just on just like written information, right? And
Yeah.
my point is that there's different forms of education. And I think that a lot of us, we're so used to like going to college, learning subject matter, but not necessarily knowing how to actually apply it in the real world. Like the accelerators really focus on like actual application, right? And that is, spoiler alert, that's why we're so focused on getting you clients as soon as you
Yeah.
join. Because as soon as you join, we want you to get clients. That way we can teach you how to actually work it, right? You're going to learn you learn best by doing. And so
Yeah.
we want to work with you as you are doing, as you're going through the process. And that's the best way for you to grow, not just spending a year studying theory, right? We want you to like get in, get the clients. All right, now let's do the real work, right? Of figuring out how to streamline, how to do this right. It's a different form of education, but I believe that it is equally valuable
Yeah.
as a degree or anything because it's applicable. And once you master it, it's going to serve you for the life cycle of your business. So I love that that's what you took from it. And I'm excited that that's your takeaway for today. So yeah, but as usual, like I always say, it's always great to chat with you. I'm looking forward to chatting with you soon.
Yes.
In one-on-ones or in the group Q&A. And it's been amazing having you here. And my parting words for everybody who's listening is like, like my father always tells me, the sky is not the limit. Like my father used to tell me that as a kid. He's like, the sky's not the limit. There is still like outer space, and there's probably something else beyond that. Like the sky's not the limit. And so instead of looking at your problems and your limitations, like increase your capacity to see more, because then once you see more, you'll be able to actually work for it. And I'm really hoping that this interview, like hearing how Wannita's been able to grow her business while she's still in the in such a young phase. A lot of people most businesses take 3 years to just break even, right? And in 3.5 years, Juanita had a six-figure business, right? That's a totally different, way to see things. And so if you're, once you expand what's possible for yourself, you'll work for it. You'll do the work. You'll get the resources. You'll invest, do the things you need to do to move forward. And then you'll actually be able to get it. So I love that. I'm hoping that this has expanded everybody's mind as to what's
Yeah.
possible. And I'm excited. So, guys, I hope you've been enjoying this limited series, this podcast. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. And if you're watching on another platform, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, do all that good stuff, because that's going to help us. Write a review. We love to see them, right? And we want to just keep you plugged in on, so you can hear all the good stuff. And when we're back with more, you get access to it. All right. So enjoy, have an eventful week, and we look forward to seeing you in a future episode. All right. Cheers and
Yes.
have a great day.
Thank you.